Hello, brothers and sisters. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. The other day this was sent to me. I figured, you know what, I really want to do a video on this because I kind of want to address this a little bit. Now, this is from Feminine, but the title is 30 Secrets a Movie Employee Won't Tell You. I think they mean a movie theater employee won't tell you. By someone named Emma D. And I glanced at the list quickly and said, now, I'm sure every movie theater is different. I used to be manager at a movie theater. And I started from the bottom, worked my way up. So basically, there wasn't anything I didn't know about it. So we're going to go through this list a little bit and see how many of these are actually true and how many aren't. But every movie theater is different. Each one is run a little differently. I'm just going to go by my experiences with running a movie theater and do this. So we're going to start with number 1. The popcorn probably isn't fresh. I got a nice picture of popcorn. You would probably assume that popcorn served at the movie theaters is freshly made on the day, especially because it is usually served straight out of the popcorn maker behind the counter. However, it turns out popcorn can sit there for days on end, and they only make a fresh batch when they run out. Well, first let me address the question itself. Is the popcorn probably isn't fresh? And the answer to that is depending on your idea of freshness. Now, what I'm going to tell you is when we made the popcorn, we not only put the oil in there, but we also put flavacol in there, which helps give movie theater popcorn that movie theater taste. Also, in this flavacol is a preservative, which can keep the popcorn tasting fresher longer. It could actually keep the popcorn tasting fresh for probably a good week or two. Now, let's also address this. It turns out popcorn can sit there for days on end. That's true. It's possible that the popcorn could sit there for days on end. But you know what? We didn't do that. We have popped popcorn the day before when we knew we were going to get hit big. There have been times when we were underprepared, even though we prepared. Spider-Man weekend, when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, we found ourselves very lacking in the popcorn department. Much in the way that we would have our popper running and running and running constantly, and we were selling it faster than we could pop it. So we were basically, you order the popcorn, and when it's done, we'll run it to your theater for you. You know, we'll write down what seats you're sitting in and all that noise. Popcorn can be popped a day in advance, and it will still taste fresh. So that's thanks to the flavacol we put in it. Employees get to watch movies before they are released. This is also true. I don't know why this would be an issue. But basically, when a movie comes out, we have to get a key to show the movie. And the key lasts about as long as, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, depending on whatever movie it is. Some movies, it can only be for certain showtimes. You know, these things are also a thing. However, we don't get we can get the keys. I imagine I'm pretty sure we got them up to about a week before, but you had to wait for the keys to go live before you could even watch the movie. And usually, like, if a movie came out on a Thursday, then Wednesday night after midnight the keys would go live. So sometimes with certain movies, if it was some that the movie theater people, you gotta think, while we're working, we can't watch movies. And some of us were there 15 hours a freaking day. That doesn't leave a lot of time to watch movies. So sometimes what would happen is those of us that work the late shift would probably, once the keys went live, would just go ahead and watch a movie. not only that, but I think it's actually good for the people that's selling you the popcorn, or the people, because we had a lot of people come in off the streets saying, "What movies are good?" And you know how much of an idiot you feel like we're saying, I don't know what's good. I haven't watched any of them. And it's like, that doesn't make in my mind, that doesn't make a wonderful employee. I think an employee should have watched at least a couple of the movies you're showing. This way, if someone comes in and doesn't know what they want to watch, you can at least give them a suggestion, an honest suggestion. So I don't know why they wouldn't tell people about that, but yeah, employees get to watch movies before they are released, and that's a good thing. One of the main perks of working in a movie theater is the employees get to watch new movies before they are released. This is to make sure that there are no technical difficulties before the public get to watch it, so they can answer. When it's copied into the projector, if there's an issue, it'll just come up with the issue while it's copying. The movies come in on hard drives, and hard drives, they have to be plugged in. If you have like an LMS or a computer that basically you copy the movies into, and then you can copy it to different projectors from there, you know, that makes things easier. But when you don't have one, you actually have to take the hard drive specifically to the projector, plug it in, and then slowly start copying it off. And when you got a movie that's easily 120 gigs, it takes time to copy. You can get a refund if you have a bad experience. That's true. You can get a refund. What we try to do first is, you know, if there was a problem with popcorn, or if there was a problem with wait time, maybe you'll get a voucher for free popcorn. If there was actually a bigger problem with the movie where we had issues getting it started, but we eventually got it started, you may get a ticket for a free movie. There are some instances I've run into where we can't give you a refund, and that's mostly if the power goes out. If the power goes out, we can't turn on the computers. If we can't turn on the computers, we can't issue you a refund. It is what I usually do in that regard. I'll ask if you paid by credit card, and if you had, I'd probably take the receipt, scribble your name on it, whatever, and do the refund that way. Or I would actually just take it, initial the bottom, and then, you know, circle how many people the tickets were for, and say, if you want to come in later on, we'll take care of you. Something to make this easier. Most people just think it's bad luck if there are technical difficulties. The actual movie itself is really bad, but employees are keen to make sure you come back. And so theaters will offer free tickets to come again as compensation if you have a bad experience. Well, the thing is, it's like, if the movie was bad, I'm sorry you didn't like the movie. I don't really know what that has to do with me. Being a theater employee, I'm going to try to at least make you feel better. Although I think it makes, I don't work there anymore, so I can say this. If you come in saying the movie was bad, you want a refund from us, I think that makes you a pretty shitty person. I don't know. I might cut that out. 4. Combo meals don't save you any money. That's not true. Although they are advertised as a cheaper deal, and most movie theaters will try to persuade you to purchase one, combo meals rarely save you any money. The catch usually involves upgrading in size or buying items you didn't want in the first place, so don't bother with them. I can see part of that. Like, if you, we used to have this deal, I forgot what it was called and how much it was. It's been a minute. But you can get popcorn, soda, and a candy, and it would be just one price for all three. And it's true that, you know, maybe you didn't want the candy, you just wanted a popcorn and soda. But the price was cheaper at our location. It was. For whatever. And we would actually have like a lot of box deals where you get like a drink, you can get fries and a burger, We also had one called the cardiac arrest, where you got mac and cheese bites, fries. I think there was chicken tenders in there too, or popcorn chicken, something else. I don't remember now what it was, but that was well over a year ago. Employees can get into trouble if you sneak in your own snacks. There isn't much anyone can do if you manage to sneak in your own food and drinks. The employees are the ones who get into trouble. They are supposed to be monitoring what is brought into the movie theaters, and managers won't be happy if they let someone in who is breaking the rules. The thing is, different places you read online will say that it's okay to bring in your own food and drinks into the theater. I've seen people come in with their water bottles, and honestly, water bottles, I don't really mind. But there'll be people coming in, and you have women coming in with their purses. We can't check all the purses. I mean, you got to draw a limit somewhere. Could they sneak something in their purse? Of course they can. They can sneak in candy, and I can't tell you how many times I've cleaned up theaters and seen wrappers to candies we don't even sell. People will come in with like these little bottles of alcohol, and we'll find these just all over or lying around. If anybody's bringing in bags of McDonald's, then we may have an issue. Or if someone's got like a 12-inch freaking pizza there, you know, draw the line there. But yeah, we used to get in trouble for letting people, or if someone brought in something and we just didn't notice. Parents leave dirty nappies under the seats. Oh, like diapers, yeah. As you can imagine, this usually happens in children's movies, but it's still pretty gross. Parents are clearly too lazy to get up and take their babies to the toilet and use the changing facilities, so they just change them in the movie theater and leave the rubbish behind. I'm going to be honest. Cleaning theaters, I've seen a lot of things that I wish I didn't see. There's been a lot of stuff left behind. Someone, I don't know how, they came in with a gallon of milk. It was a gallon of chocolate milk. And they left like that much in the bottom, and it's just sitting there on the floor in one of the theaters. And the first thing I'm wondering is, I was a manager at the time. So naturally, during that time, floor staff was down there taking care of the customers, while I was upstairs ingesting a movie, or probably doing something upstairs. Somehow, someone was able to get in a gallon of chocolate milk. And little cups to go with it. And the cups we just found lying on the seats, and the gallon with like that much left in there, just sitting on the floor. And that was one time where I had just started my shift, and another manager who was just about to leave said, "Oh yeah, while I was up in the booth, something was on the projection window. If you could look into that." And then she left, and I was like, okay. So I went in and checked, and a movie was actually playing, and someone took a slice of cheese, slapped it on the theater side of the projection window. Luckily, it was just underneath to where the movie shone, so none of the slice of cheese blocked out anything. And I'm looking at it thinking, how the hell did that get up there? So I was doing some research and trying to find out, because at the time we weren't selling any hot food, so I don't know, we didn't even have cheese in the building. So how did a piece of orange cheese get up there? And I found out it was this trend, I don't know if it was on Reddit or TikTok or something, where people would start cheesing plays, like pulling out slices of cheese and just throwing. Anyway, there's a lot of things left behind. Diapers, I wouldn't be surprised. I've never seen one myself, but I'm sure others have their stories. Next one, don't be fooled by the alcoholic drinks. Serving alcohol at the movie theater is a relatively new trend, and it only used to be available in privately owned establishments. However, it has now become quite popular to enjoy drinks in the movies. Just watch out for the prices, as this could make it an expensive night out. That's true. Alcohol's expensive. The thing about alcohol is trying to keep it out of the hands of underage people, which naturally you're carded, and then you're given a little bracelet by us. And we used to own, we had a true drink limit and stuff like that. But yeah, they were a little pricey. But the thing about that was, I think, paying for the courtesy of us to have the alcohol, plus we have to keep it chilled, and yeah, it was expensive. It was a little bit expensive. There is a reason the popcorn smells so good. Flavicol. Although you might think the movie theater naturally smells like fresh popcorn because so many people are eating whilst watching the films, there's actually a reason why this smell is so strong. The employees mix the popcorn with canola oil and other chemicals for extra potency. We have used canola oil, which does smell good, but there's a lot of different oils you could use for that. You can use coconut oil. You can use vegetable oil, and I think it would still smell pretty good. I think the thing about it was the Flavicol. Yeah, of course, there's a reason why the popcorn smells that way. That's no secret. It's like half of these secrets aren't really secrets. The theaters are only cleaned at the end of the day. That's not true. At least not in our theater. Yeah, that picture I'm looking at right now, that's a mess. Dude, if I had kids movies, definitely. Frozen 2. After one of those shows, definitely the floor would look like that. Although you might expect each theater to be cleaned between screenings, they are. Well, they're supposed to be. This usually isn't the case, as there isn't enough time to give them a deep clean before the next set of customers arrive. This means they are only given a proper clean at the end of the day. Gross. Well, that comes down to employees as well. I always made sure that the theaters were cleaned when I was floor staff. So I would actually make the time to go and do every theater, even when I was the only floor staff, which happened during COVID. The thing is, you get a lot of kids, you give them the task, this is your task, this is the only thing you're going to be doing today. We called it floating, and that means after each round of movies, we give them a list with what the end times for all the movies, and when the theaters are empty, you go in and you clean the theater. That's it. You sweep up whatever means swept up. During COVID, we had the sanitizing spray. We sprayed down the seats and wiped them down. Handles as well. Door handles, anything, basically anything an employee or a customer could touch had to be sanitized. And I was definitely doing a lot of that when I was floor staff. Sometimes you get kids in there that they'll go into the theater and just mess with their phone for about 10 minutes or so, and then leave the theater saying, "I'll clean." Employees probably won't pass on your complaint to the manager. Although they don't mean to, movie theater employees probably won't remember to pass on your complaint to the manager about something minor like the price of popcorn. They are extremely busy and often get bombarded with requests, so they can't do it at all. It happens. I'm sure that happens not only in movie theaters, but everywhere else too. So I think this one, that shouldn't be a secret to anybody. I mean, come on, when you got a 16-year-old behind the register and there's a line of people. I mean, there was some things I was told, but I'm sure not everything. You know, these things happen. 11. People get really mad when the slush puppy machine is broken. Yeah, well, let me read this. One of the most popular items purchased in movie theaters are the famous slush puppies, but unfortunately the machine always seems to be broken. According to employees, people get really angry if they can't get their hands on their bright blue cup of iced slush. We didn't have a slush puppy machine. We had the IC. Ours was never really broken. I can't really think of a moment when it was actually broken. We did have a couple issues, but it was never really broken. Well, aside from ordering it and the order just doesn't come in for the different flavors. That aside, every once in a while, the machine would have to stop and spin and cycle what was in there and then refreeze it, and it's like thaw it out and then freeze it up, or then refreeze it again, just to kind of keep it in motion. Because if you kept frozen all the time, you're going to get pockets where it's too cold, and you go to pour some and none's going to come out because it's frozen. So there would be moments of the time where it's actually doing that, and during that time you can't pour it. You just can't pour it. So usually I say, well, it's mixing right now, and when it's mixing we can't pour it. So if you want to come back and say 15-20 minutes, then we might be able to help you out. 12. It is easy to sneak into an R-rated movie if you're underage. According to movie theater employees, there is no point risking buying a ticket for an R-rated movie if you're underage, as they will probably ask to see photo ID before letting you in. The trick is to buy a ticket for a different movie playing at a similar time, and then sneak into the other movie. I've tossed out people before for sneaking into a movie. So, I'm not above that. They are slowly increasing the volume of adverts. You've probably noticed that the adverts displayed before the movie starts can feel like they're going on forever. Well, that's because sometimes they are. The companies are slowly increasing the volume of adverts shown, meaning you can sometimes be sat there for 30 minutes before the movie. That isn't true. We don't control the advertisements at all. Those come on a separate thing, or a separate projector, and those are controlled mostly by someone other than us. And the thing is, we have to make sure they're up and running, but we can't control what's on them. As opposed to waiting, you sometimes be sat there for 30 minutes before the movie begins. That's not true. The adverts aren't even factored into the movie time. So basically, if your movie is supposed to start at 3 o'clock, the last advertisement ends at 3 o'clock. Now, that being said, there are certain movies that have additional advertisements added in there, which are mostly 1 or 2 that can come on before the movie. I think only once or twice in the entire time I've been working in a movie theater has that even happened. Then we have previews, which you get 3, sometimes 4 previews, depending on length and what we're going to be what we're trying to do. I always felt 4 felt a little long, so I would mostly keep it at 3. But you get to see 3 movie trailers and then right into the movie. But like I said, each theater's different. I'm sure different theaters do different things. People leave inappropriate items in the movie theaters. What do you mean inappropriate? So it might surprise you, but people actually leave inappropriate, sometimes explicit items in the movie theater. According to some employees, moviegoers thought it'd be funny to leave cucumbers behind after watching the premiere of 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah. Inappropriate. Well, anything left behind is kind of inappropriate, if you want my honest opinion. They don't use real butter to make butter popcorn. Don't be fooled when you order butter popcorn at the movie theater, because you won't be eating any real butter. Employees have revealed that the butter they use is actually a huge container of peanut oil, which they hide behind the counter so customers can't see it. The butter we used didn't have any dairy in it. It was mostly oil, a form of oil. It wasn't peanut oil, because we had to make sure. I mean, I don't think we had to make sure, but I'm sure someone down the line figured before we got it that we didn't want to use peanut oil because there are people out there with peanut allergies. I'm not sure what they used for it. All I know is I didn't like it much. And there are some people that want that stuff layered into their popcorn. No, it wasn't. What we had wasn't real butter. But I'm sure different theaters are going to have different things. So nobody will notice if you sneak into a second movie. They'll notice. Trust me, we notice. Some might not want to say anything, but we notice. Although you're technically breaking the rules, employees probably won't notice if you never exit the theater after the movie you actually booked a ticket for. If it happens to be a quiet day and you're not stealing anyone's seats, you could easily sneak into a second movie. We notice. Some of us will do something about it, some of us won't. And that comes down to the employee. Don't look under your seat. This is a rule everyone must live by. Do not look under your seat. As we mentioned earlier, movie theater employees have admitted that the theaters are only properly cleaned at the end of the day and not in between each screening. Not 100% true, that one. I mentioned that before. This means you'll probably find some pretty gross stuff lurking around. The thing is, under the seats, that's really a tough area for some brooms to get to. Certain seats, recliners, we can actually open the recliners because we had our front rows were all reclining, which was very nice. Those seats were easy to open up and clean underneath. Different seats were a little tougher to do that with. So, especially when our theater was being renovated and they tore out all the seats, we found some things that a lot of coins and whatnot that were lost under there, bits of popcorn, fluff. Old ticket stubs we found underneath there. Things that kind of just get under there. People getting frisky in theaters. Employees have revealed the rumors are true. People really do get frisky in movie theaters. Apparently, a lot of people like to take advantage of the dark atmosphere, but the other customers aren't always happy about it, and complaints led to people being thrown out. I know what happens. I definitely know what happens. We're not supposed to let it happen, but how are we going to know that it happens? Us managers, in the middle of every show, had to walk into the theater, basically go in, look around, make sure nobody's doing anything disturbing, nobody's disturbing anybody else or doing anything uncouth. I also took the time to listen to the sound, make sure everything sounded right coming from the sound tower, look at the screen, make sure nothing was fuzzy or, make sure it was bright and clear. Take a look at the projection window. Since the cheese incident, I've always made a chance to just glance up there to make sure there's nothing on the projection window. Stuff like that. But there are instances in where people have gotten a little frisky in theaters. And believe it or not, we have to do something about that when we see it. Lots of fights break out. Do they really? We bet you weren't expecting this one. Employees have revealed that a lot of fights break out at the movies. It can be really frustrating when people jump the queue or make noise during the movie, but a physical fight between two customers seems like a step too far. We've had arguments. If that's what you mean by fighting, yes, that's been a thing. If you mean like an all-out fist fight or brawl, I don't recall ever seeing one in a movie theater. I don't recall ever seeing one. 20. Avoid ordering the hot food snacks. If you take any tips from the employees at movie theaters, make sure it is this one. They've warned customers not to order hot food like pizza and hot dogs. They are heated up in a microwave and sit on a counter all day long and usually go stale. That's not true. That's not true. Those things are usually made to order. Like if you order a pizza, it's frozen. We toss that in the oven and we cook it for, I believe it's like 8 to 9 minutes before giving it to you. Same thing with hot dogs and hamburgers. Those are cooked in the oven as well. Actually, I've had one of our hot dogs. It was actually pretty good. I had a couple of our hamburgers. I liked it very much. Nobody care if you buy a child's ticket unless you're rude. Pretty much all movie theater employees have admitted that they often let adults sneak in with child tickets because they can't be bothered to deal with the hassle. As long as you're not rude to the staff, they'll probably let you get away with it. I've never had an instance where that happened. Employees have the power to kick you out. All they will only do this with good reason. Employees do have the power to remove you from the movie theater if you are causing problems for other customers. They are instructed by managers to respond to complaints when necessary and ensure everyone has a pleasant experience. That's true. We do have that power. 23. They will serve you food that is falling on the floor. This one might shock you. Alright, do tell us. But this is a real claim from one of the employees in a movie theater. Apparently the managers don't care if food is dropped on the floor. Instead of wasting it, they will instruct the staff to pick it up and place it back on the serving counter. Gross. Not true. Well, at least not in our case. We did not do that. That is really gross. Basically, if you wouldn't want to eat it, don't expect anybody else to want to either. If it fell on the floor, you toss that out and you make another one. 24. Lots of celebrities go to the movies. It might surprise you that a lot of famous celebrities regularly enjoy going to the movies if they happen to know the people featuring in them. But if you think about it, the movie theater is the perfect place to enjoy a discreet night out, as nobody would even know they were there. Okay? I don't know what that has to do with anything, but okay. They will call the police if you try and record the movie. Yeah. Movie theaters employees are pretty chilled out about most things, but piracy is not one of them. We can get fined for that. If you are caught trying to record the movie, they will remove you from the theater and call the police. They can get in serious trouble if they don't follow the rules. That's true. That's very true. The popcorn is made days in advance for big movie premieres. As I've stated before, think back to some iconic movie premieres, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, for example. Employees know they won't be able to keep up with the demands from so many customers all at once, so they make popcorn a few days before in batches and store them in boxes. That's, well, a few days before, no. We have made it, we have started popping a day before, but like I said with the Flavicol, it keeps it tasting fresher for a long time. But about the day before is good enough, and we don't store them in boxes. We actually have these big bags we store them in, and they're when they're tied up properly, air does not get to them, so it keeps them fresher longer. People hang about in theater for ages after the movie is finished. Has finished. One thing the employees can't stand it when people hang about in the theater when the movie is finished in anticipation there might be a post-credit scene. They have warned people to check online before to see if this will actually happen. Otherwise, they can't prepare for the next showing. That's not entirely true. This list is kind of contradicting itself. It says, employees can't stand it when people hang about in the theater when the movie is finished in anticipation there might be a post-credit scene. They have warned people to check online before this actually happened. Otherwise, they can't prepare for the next showing. What do you mean by preparing for the next showing? You've already stated in this thing that they don't clean the theaters in between shows, which is wrong. But you've already said that doesn't happen, so what's to prepare for? Someone gotta go up and rewind the movie? You don't. It's digital. 28. There are mysterious items in the nacho cheese sauce. Is there really? If you've ever seen the big buckets of nacho cheese sauce they use to pour over the chips, you will understand what we mean. Employees have revealed that all sorts of strange items are found in the buckets, which can sit there for days on end until they are used up. That's not true. Our nacho cheese never came in big buckets, they came in bags. When you put in a new bag, you had to wear gloves. Naturally, you don't want any contamination. But they came in these bags that had these spouts, and basically you had to put the spout on, use a new one each time. It would be in the box with the bag, And basically, you put on your gloves, you went and get the bag, you put the bag in the warmer, and then you take the end, you pop it on the bottom, which punctures the hole in there, and you screw it on, and then you feed the tube down in there so that when you hit the button, it turns this disc, which coaxes the cheese out when it's warmed up. And it took time to warm it up. But yeah, I don't understand where revealed all sorts of strange items that are found in buckets, which can sit there for days on end until they have used them up. Yum. Another thing that can happen is when cheese cools like that, it'll actually harden. And it could look like there's something in there, but it's just hard cheese, and it's never inside the bag. It's usually stuff that's already dripped out. So I don't know what they mean by that. Our cheese never, like, there's a picture of them using it with it looks like a measuring cup, and it's like, we never use that. That's very foreign to me. Have half of your drink is probably ice. According to some movie employees who have revealed their secrets about working at theaters, they are instructed to fill the cups as much as possible, with as much ice as possible to save on products. So the likelihood is you're only getting about half a cup of your chosen beverage so they can save money. I'm sure some employees will go ahead and fill up your cup with that much ice. I never did that, and everybody I trained, I never made them do that. Basically, I would throw a little bit of ice, and I would throw some ice in the cup, maybe that far, and let them look at it, and I would ask them, it's like more ice, less ice, and let them determine how much ice they wanted. And 30 is supposed to be the last one. There is a secret red button hidden in the office of all movie theaters. There is? What does that do? Does that call Batman? What's the button for? One ex-employee revealed that all movie theaters have a secret red button, which is locked away in a plastic case in the box office. They were too scared to press the button, but apparently is used in emergencies to evacuate the theater or cancel all movies. I didn't know such button existed. Mostly because I don't think that's true. We did not, I mean, the thing is, even if we had a button, I don't think it was attached to all our projectors because you had to turn those off individually. There was no button to cancel all movies or to evacuate the theater. What do you hit it and the self-destruct goes up? Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button. This ship will self-destruct in exactly 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Not in our theater. 31, they use lower screen quality on purpose. It was 31. I thought it was supposed to be 30 facts. They lied to us. Movie theaters do not use the best quality because it is easier to maintain. In fact, when you see extreme digital quality advertised, you'd likely think this was extremely good quality, but it's actually lower than normal IMAX digital, so this is a tip to look out for. Extreme digital is a little lower than IMAX digital, because IMAX is supposed to be something of its own. However, we don't use the best quality because it is easier to maintain. So from whose perspective? It only comes in once. It goes through the projector. If it doesn't look that good, it's possible that the projector needs focusing. That's a thing. Maybe someone would have to check the distance of the projector it is away from the little glass window, the projection window. I would not blame that on the movie itself. I would blame that more on the theater not keeping track of how the image looks. 32. The concessions are a moneymaker. They are. You may be surprised to find out that it's not actually the movie showings themselves that are a real money spinner. In fact, it takes a lot for them to make money off movies alone. It's the drinks and snacks they manage to make the money. So if you ever wondered why the prices are so high, now you know. That's true. That's true. I've often made the joke that it's Las Vegas prices in there. And it's true. Concession is where movie theaters make their most money. 33. Stick to the classic movie snacks. Now employees or ex-employees of movie theaters will reveal that they personally would not be opting for the cinema food. The classic movie snacks, yes, for example, candy, popcorn, slushies. But the hot dogs and nachos, probably not. So we will use this tip next time we make the choice. I found it funny. In Before our theater closed down, before it was bought out, and most of us were rehired, uh, they decided to do Grubhub. And I could see popcorn because people have come in off the street not wanting to watch a movie, just buying popcorn. That's happened quite a bit. No one's ever come in off the streets to buy candy or soda, something like that. Water. When it was first presented to me, I was like, why are we on Grubhub? How many people are actually sitting at home thinking, gee, I wish I had a burger from the movie theater? No one that I know of. I mean, our burgers were good, but they weren't that good. The size of the popcorn changes all the time. The buckets serve popcorn small, medium, and large are certainly not set in stone. They may think that one time you get a lot for your small bucket. Next time you may wonder where the popcorn is gone. This is because sizes are constantly changing. Well, that can kind of come into demand for whatever. After COVID, it was very tough for us to get certain things. But once you have a company that's actually providing a steady supplier, you don't worry. You don't run into that issue. The microwave foods aren't instant. A tip from employees: don't complain when your food is not ready immediately. The microwave takes a few minutes. These things need heating up unless you want a room temperature hot dog. And we aren't sure that people would enjoy that too much either. We never microwaved our hot dogs, so I don't know. I still don't know where that comes from. 36. These 30 facts are getting very long. How many are even on here? There are 50. Okay. 36. They don't give extra cups. Well, we're not supposed to know. People are always asking for extra cups. This is usually so they can buy one drink and split it into 2 cups to save buying another. But no employee will give you the second cup. It has to be accounted for as part of the inventory at the end of the night. That's true. We're not allowed to give out cups. We do, however, have courtesy cups that we can give you. They aren't very big, but the movies start late. Yes, employees have admitted the movies do start late. So if you're wandering in on the minutes, don't worry too much because it probably hasn't even started yet. But somehow they do finish on time. Otherwise, there would not be enough time for the changeover. Well, you got to think when the movie starts, that's not when the movie has a start time, that's not when the movie starts, that's when the previews start. And previews can run between 10 and 15 minutes before the movie starts. So, think you have if you're running late, you have about a 10-15 minute window before the movie starts. 38. The food might be warm, but maybe not fresh. Like we said before, the food can lie around on a counter for a fair few hours at a time, just waiting in the counter, and maybe it gets put back in the microwave to heat up before you consume it. But don't let that fool you. It probably does not mean that it is fresh. Again, our shit was made to order, so I don't know why they're rehashing some of the same stuff again, but that's not true. 39. For the couple of months of screening, the money goes to the movie studios. So for the first couple months that the movies are playing in the theater, the money does not go to the movie theaters as profits. Instead, all those ticket sales go to the movie studios. Then after the first couple of months, the profits start to go to the cinema, and they can start to profit from it. I don't know that to be true. If I remember hearing right, because I believe I asked about this once before, and a percentage of each ticket goes to the movie theater, and another percentage goes to the distributor, and a percentage of that goes to the movie studio. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. They know all the ways you're trying to sneak in. We know most of them. We're pretty good. We're pretty good on that. If you think you have found some ingenious way to sneak in the movie theater for free without paying for a ticket, employees hate to break it to you, but it's been done before numerous times. They know all the tricks of the trade and are wise to it. We know most of the ways you're getting in. We've seen it happen. The manager will pretend to be on your side. Pretend to be on your side? When you complain, the manager will probably go along with you and make you think they are taking your complaint seriously, and that there may even be repercussions for the employee, but in reality, they will probably totally ignore it as soon as you've gone. That's not true. That's not true. But then, of course, people are different, like every theater is different. One manager will differ from the other. I always try to be very courteous with everybody, and, you know, if you told me something, I would have no choice but to look into it. Seriously. 42. Employees have played Xbox on the big screen after hours. If you're an Xbox player, then this will sound pretty awesome. Imagine playing on the huge screen with all the surround sound with your friends. Maybe this is even better in the movie discount. All this is definitely not standard movie theater practice and only happens in certain ones with lenient bosses. For one thing, I've often looked at projectors and tried to figure out, is there a way that I could actually hook up a PlayStation to it? And it looks like there are ways I could, but I don't know anybody that ever tried. So, if you have, that's on you. Popcorn became popular during World War II. Now, here's an interesting fact that most people would not have thought, but it was actually during World War II when popcorn started to become increasingly more popular and reached its popularity peak. Since then, it has been maintained, and it seems a snack that's here to stay. What does this have to do with things, secrets a movie theater employee won't tell you? 14 million quarts of popcorns are consumed by Americans. 144 million quarts of popcorns now. Yeah, 14 millions. Okay. 144 million quarts of popcorn. Now that sounds like a heck of a lot of popcorn, doesn't it? But if you go to the movies, and it's pretty much essential, grab yourself some popcorn, right? It's the ultimate movie snack, and Americans especially love popcorn. 45. Digital projectors cost a lot to operate. In recent years, especially, cinemas have struggled. In fact, the large cost to run the digital projectors has forced some of the smaller movie theaters to permanently close because they can't afford to run them, especially when there are only a few seats taken. The profit is less than the cost. That is kind of true. However, you got to think movie theaters make profit on other things rather than just movies and whatnot. And the thing is, projectors, you got their bulbs have 1,000-hour lifespan on them, and you can't extend those hours by a few hours. I wouldn't go too far outside that mark because you're going to start noticing loss of screen quality when you do that. But I remember when I was first taught how to replace or change a bulb, I had to ask the question, how much does one of these bulbs cost? And guys like, that one right there, $960. I was like, this is almost $1,000 bulb. In my back of my mind, I'm thinking, so if I drop this, I could get fired. So yeah, I mean, I believe there is some truth to that, but you got to think, if you have like previews playing in your lobby, you make a little lolly from that too. And you know, if you've got if you have vending machines and stuff like that, they kind of bring people in, you know. 46, the level of sound can affect your ears. Well, of course it can. In some cinemas, level of volume is so loud that it can almost actually damage your eardrum. It's not good to subject your ears to it so often. Otherwise, you may notice that your sound is slightly more muffled immediately after the film. It all depends on which cinema you go to, of course. All of these depend on which cinema you go to. So it's like... but yeah, if the movie's too loud, you could damage your hearing. That's why we usually do our thing to make sure that the volumes are at a fairly comfortable level. 47, a lot of popcorn is wasted. If you think about those huge buckets of popcorn, does anyone actually manage to finish them? Some do. More often than not, around half of them goes wasted. That's including the whole lot of popcorn that's spilled everywhere in the dark and rolls all over the seats and the floors. Especially in kids' movies. I mentioned before about Frozen 2. And it was like people took handfuls of popcorn and started chucking it throughout the theater. I mean, we had a fun time cleaning out those theaters. Jeez. People get up to all sorts in the cinema. What does that mean? not only do people get frisky, but people do all kinds of things. Nowadays, vaping inside the cinema is a problem and will most likely get you thrown out. Smoking is less frequent inside the cinema, but there definitely have been instances. Now it's a cinema guys go to eat your popcorn and watch your movie and save the other stuff for later. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen anybody vaping or smoking in the theater, but I know what's happened. I've walked into a theater once and smelled nothing but pot in there. So I know someone had lit up at one time during the movie. But of course you can't really pin it on anybody, because at the time I wasn't even a manager. At the time I was just a floor staff. And you walk in to clean the theater and you smell it. So, somebody was doing something. But the only thing I could do was open up the emergency exit and just try to waft as much of the smell out before the next show. Just prop the door open, clean the theater, close the door, have it ready for the next. 49, they get discounts. It makes sense that as an employee, they get an employee's discount, so they can come back on their day off and enjoy the movies for a discounted rate as a reward for working for them. And best of all, they also get discounted snacks too. It's only fair, right? When I first started working there, it was run by a different company, and most movies we could actually watch for free, provided there was an available seat, which there often was. However, if it was premiere weekend, normally we had to wait about a week before we could watch a movie for free. But premiere weekend was when it was most strict. You had to wait 15 minutes after the movie started, and if there was an available seat, then you could take it. But by then you've already missed 15 minutes of the movie, so what's the point? So I would just wait a week and then watch the movie. And 50, people get kicked out more frequently than you think. You probably think it's a threat that if you misbehave or try to sneak in, etc., you probably won't actually get thrown out. Wrong. It happens way more than you think. In fact, employees are quite used to doing it as part of their job when someone is repeatedly doing something they shouldn't. That's true, but we've covered this before. In fact, most of this list is stuff we've covered before. And it's just a lot of them you can just I think the thing about this list is it's 30, but they like rehashing shit, so there's an extra 20. But I mean, it's not really happened frequently that we've had to kick people out. We have had to kick people out, sure, but it doesn't really happen that often. So it's kind of strange they would actually say that. But like I said with this list, it depends on different theaters. Different theaters do different things. Different employees at different theaters do different things. I can only attest from the theater I worked at and the way I ran it and stuff like that. And half this list isn't even a thing, honestly, to me. It was interesting to read, though. So, like I said, that's gonna do it for this video. I just saw this and figured, I gotta make a video on this. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!